Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Rise and Grind Morning Show. It is Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. We are just one day away from the day where everybody remembers where they were. And, man, what a tragic day that was. I can't believe we've been more than 20 years past that date of 9/11, man. But week one of the NFL season has been kind of synonymous with that date ever since it happened. And it's a day that I always reflect on. But today's the 10th, so we're not going to get too far off into that. We'll reflect on some of it tomorrow. But welcome in your loyalty crew, the faithful, everybody in with us this morning. Appreciate you guys joining us here on the Rise and Grind Morning Show. We've got a lot to talk about. Going to be kind of all over the place today. Still just exhausted, man. What an emotional exhaustion this weekend was. It just, it really took a toll on me. That fourth quarter, man, was really, really tough. And my body is paying for it, even though I'm not like a big drinker or anything like that. I can't imagine how everybody else feels that had an extra good time there in Detroit this weekend, because being the sober guy, man, I'm still exhausted. So, Eric, how you doing, man? I must just be old.
Hey, I'm right there with you, man. I didn't drink a drop this weekend. I don't drink at all anyway. But I feel like I got run over by a truck.
Yeah. Yep. I do too, man. I really do. It was a rough weekend. It was an exciting weekend. Lions start 1-0. They took down the LA Rams 26-20. And there's a lot of good things that happen in this game. There's some so-so things that happen in this game. Tonight, we're going to get into the All-22 review. Starts at 7 p.m. for the members. If you have not joined the membership and you'd like to get into the All-22, it is the second tier that'll be given access to a private link every week where we will be reviewing the All-22 tape together and point out some things that we see and kind of just have a conversation about it in the chat. I'm working on trying to do something a little bit better, kind of more like a Zoom is what I think I really want to do. That way we can all get in and have a conversation about it as opposed to just using the chat, but I have to figure out and test it first. So I'll continue to work on that, but at least the plan was to do it this way. But I do want to try to upgrade it a little bit so that we can have more conversation. So good morning to everybody in the chat. Who do we have this morning? Of course, we have Shane Smith, Michael Garrity, Rick's in the house, Trace, Mike P, Fred Peterson, DLR Van Halen, Wayne Rogers, Roger Chappis, Mr. Morale Tarantino, Bruce MacArthur, and we got Casey. We got some other non-members in the house, Randy P, but we got the loyalty crew, of course, in the house. You guys are always here, always showing up here in the morning. If you guys are looking for tickets for this weekend's game, I do have access to at least 4, if not 6 solid seats in section 110. Really, 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 really good, really close seats. And I looked on StubHub and they're like $1,200 for a pair of tickets. They will not be $1,200 to you guys because you're part of the loyalty crew. They'll be just north of face value. They will not be on the third tier markets or second tier markets, whatever you want to call it. But if you are looking for some tickets, you can email me at mailbag@rockdon.com. Of course, if you ever see anybody trying to sell tickets on any of our sites or mentioning it in any of my social media, if it doesn't come from me, it's not legit. So just let me know if you're looking and I'll get you connected with who has the tickets for this weekend's game. And there'll be a lot of tickets available throughout the season.
It's crazy how many scammers there are trying to sell tickets on Facebook and social media.
It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. You know what I don't understand though, Eric? It's like, does anybody really fall for this? And why do they keep trying so hard?
They do. And the thing about it is you also have sprinkled in there 10 or 15,000 actual real season ticket holders that are trying to actually sell a ticket to a game because they can't make it to all the games and they don't want to sell it on the secondary market because they don't want to lose their season tickets.
Right.
So it's a double-edged sword there. So you're getting, oh, okay, is this legit or is this not legit? And there's some of them that even trick me and I'm like, no, I ain't buying that.
Yeah, it's made buying tickets really tough because the Lions kind of have you in a box. You can't sell your season tickets without fear of having your tickets pulled. They would rather sell the tickets on the second tier market to make more money, but God forbid you can't make a game and you're trying to cover some costs because the tickets are so damn expensive. You sell a couple of season tickets and yank, there goes your season tickets. And it takes years now. I mean, it could take you 10 years to get tickets with the Lions. That's how crazy it is. I don't like that aspect of how they deal with that, but we're going to try to give you some opportunity through here. Obviously, my tickets won't be available. The club tickets won't be available. That's just something that, we keep between ourselves. But we do know some people that have tickets that are trying to get rid of some throughout the season because, cost is it's a real thing now with the Lions, and you got to try to mitigate the cost so that you can still go to some games. So I think where I wanted to start with this morning, and there's a lot we can talk about, and I guarantee we don't get through all of it. So it's going to kind of carry us throughout the week. Of course, we have some segments this morning. I didn't prepare a roster. I needed that extra 10 minutes of sleep. I promise you I did. But we're going to talk about some footing issues, headlines, news, and rumors, of course, every single morning. There's some footing issues on the turf. I took a look back at some articles that came out over the last few seasons. And we'll talk about that. Injury report, kind of what happened this weekend with both teams. Eric's over-under, which we normally do on Mondays. We'll do that today. We're going to go around the horn in the NFC North here in 90. So it'll be about a 5-minute segment. Kind of quick recap of what the NFC North is looking like. We've got our fantasy league, our Rocked On Fantasy League update. Yes, I ended up losing last night. All because of Demo. And I'm glad that it happened because I would never sacrifice a fantasy win for a Lions loss ever. So I'm glad that it happened. And congratulations to you, Eric. It's going to be the last time you ever win. If I would have just put J.K. Dobbins in, I would have been all set.
Listen, guess who won in all 3 of his fantasy football leagues this weekend?
Let me guess you. Yeah. It's only luck. It's only luck.
Well, if it's luck, then how am I back-to-back champion in my one league?
Well, when you have all 12 teams and you're the captain of all 12, it's kind of easy to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys for 15 years.
Oh,
and they just can't get me.
Yeah. This is the league where you're bringing in the middle schoolers, right? Those are the leagues you're in.
Hey, to me, they seem like middle schoolers, like taking candy from a baby. My buddy, listen, he was smack talking me all week because his first 3 players played, right, and he had 89 points, and I had 0. And oh my God, all I heard all week long was how he was going to crush me, and I'm not going to win the championship this year, and blah blah blah. Well, guess who won? This guy right here. I came back at the end and I beat him. Yeah. That's craziness.
Bruce MacArthur, man. And keep in mind, if you guys want to call in, today's probably not going to be the day. We're still kind of recovering, but if you guys want to call in and talk about this stuff, I really want to get people calling in, and I really want to start that like in the 9 o'clock hour, depending on, when we have guests on. I really want to start it at like 9 a.m., open up the phone lines, get people calling in for like the last hour, or you tell me, like, if you're driving to work and, it's better to call in at 8:30 in the morning or 8:15 after we get through a couple of segments, we'll do that. But I really want to get fans talking about this stuff because your reaction, that's why we're here. It's your reactions, right? This is your show. We're just trying to give you the information. We want you on here. We want your takes about your Lions on this show so everyone else can hear it. And don't be afraid, man. Just call in and talk, about whatever you want. It's just like talking to someone in your family. No judgment zone here. Best in the North for week 1. I'm going to talk about the offense and defensive end this week, kind of where they ranked, and then my weekly scores. So let me start with my weekly scores real quick. I was like looking like a genius this whole weekend. I started out 2-0. I picked all the games, and quickly that kind of turned. The last 4 minutes of a few games turned, and I started taking L's left and right. I went 6 for 10 on opening weekend, which is not bad. And now I haven't compared that to some of the other gurus out there or what, everyone else is doing, like the Orlovskis or the Greenies, right? I haven't looked yet. But going 6 for 10, this weekend, I'm not mad at, because week 1 is like the most difficult week. And so is week 2, like the most difficult weeks to figure out, because we don't know who these teams are yet. We have no clue. And I think, Eric, we saw that kind of happen in a lot of games, where you expected certain outcomes and then it didn't happen. Yep. Super shout out to Michael Garrett. He says, please hit that like button. Let's get everybody in here to get these likes up. Let's keep this streak going. We've had over 100 likes in every show now, going longer than 2 weeks. And that really helps us get out to more Lions fans. And please hit the subscribe button. So while you're hitting like, just navigate, subscribe, and be part of the show. So here's some scores from the weekend. So, of course, I put all of these out there on the playoff predictor. And so all my scores are locked in. I can't change them. They are locked in. And you guys won't believe this. You won't. And so I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. Here we go. Week 1. Look at that score. It's probably a little small. Hold on here. Yeah, see if I can make it a little bigger. You guys see that score right there? The first score of the game? First game, 27-20. What was the actual score in that game, Eric?
That's probably it.
Can you pull it up real quick on your end so you have all the scores up?
I'm trying to get my playoff. I can't get into that playoff predictor thing.
Don't worry about the playoff predictor. Just pull up ESPN, all the scores.
All right.
But the score was 27-20, right?
All right.
So here, I got to pull up on my phone. The score was 27-20.
There we go. I got them all up now.
Oh, you know what? No, never mind. This is not mine. Those are the actual scores. It switched it. I have to go in and reprint the other one. Scratch that. We'll move on. I'll have to come back to this one. Because I looked at that, I'm like, there's no way I called the majority of these scores correctly. There's just no way. But I know I got a few right, which is really hard to do. I never get scores right. It's so hard to do. It's especially in week 1. But let's move on. Let's get to segment 1 here. So segment 1, man, I was trying to toot my horn there. Look, it all backfired. Lions footing issues. So that was a big headline this weekend. That there was some footing issues. So I went back and there was some complaints back in 2022 where an analyst or an article was written by somebody here. Who wrote this? Kyle Meineke. Meineke? Said the Ford Field turf should be banned. NFLPA president said this back in November 12 of 2022. And according to, I guess, some sort of a poll or whatever they did back then, the Ford Field playing surface was made of the slit film turf, which the NFLPA president at the time, J.C. Tretter, says has a statistically higher in-game injury rate compared to other synthetic surfaces like monofilament and dual fiber. And according to Tretter, there are more non-contact injuries sustained on that turf, more games missed because of injuries, and more lower extremity injuries, and more foot and ankle injuries on that turf. Ford Field was among 6 stadiums at the time that used slit film turf. There was also MetLife, US Bank Stadium, Caesars Superdome at the time, Lucas Oil, and Paycor Stadium, Cincinnati Bengals. Tretter wanted that those playing surfaces to be replaced immediately. As you guys know, I mean, Sheila Ham takes all of these things within consideration, right? She wants to do what's best for her players, for the team, for the visiting players. And in 2023, this was January 6, 2023. So just a year later, again, the first article that came out, kind of the hit piece on the Lions organization, came out November 12 of 2022. And just a few months later, Sheila Hamp comes out and says Ford Field is getting a new playing surface. No more slip film turf after the NFLPA made its complaint. So 2 months after the NFL Players Association called the Detroit Lions out and wanted a ban on that turf, Sheila Hamp steps up and brings in a brand new field. So the Lions said that Monday, back in January of 2023, that they were going to switch from the slip film to the monofilament turf, which is considered the most grass-like surface of all three types that are available to NFL stadiums. The installation was originally scheduled for 2024, but it was scheduled to begin that month in January of 2023 as part of a package of stadium enhancements that were going on. So there was a lot of concern this weekend when players seemed to be losing their footing. And we saw it a few times. The Jahmyr Gibbs, what should have been a touchdown pass that sailed over. He fell, right? Amon-Ra had a couple of hiccups. I think Carlton Davis slipped a couple of times. The only one that really didn't was Jameson Williams. Jameson even said after the game that he didn't really have any problems with his footing. So I'm going to go ahead and venture a guess that this was a shoe selection issue. I feel like whatever shoes JMO was wearing, obviously were working better that day. I don't think that they all wear the same shoes all the time. They have a choice of shoe that they can wear. You know, whether it's cleated or whether it's, more of like a turf, golf style of shoe, where it's got the short little stubbies on it. I'm not real sure what he wore. I'd be interested to know exactly what JMO wore and why he wasn't having any issues. Clearly didn't have any issues. The guy was running all over the place. So the article that came out this weekend or after the game was about Carlton Davis, asking if he was okay, because of the late game injury scare and then the footing issues at Ford Field. This article by Dave Burkett said Carlton Davis simply got the wind knocked out of him. I called that yesterday. Said it looked like that he just got the wind. It just landed funny on the ball going for the interception. I think we've seen a couple of those. I think that Jameson, that his injury scare earlier kind of looked like the same thing when he made the contact there. That's what it kind of looked like to me. But Davis obviously left the game for a moment on Sunday on the second to last play of regulation after dropping an interception that might have kept the game from going to overtime at Ford Field, right? If he would have caught that, come down with it, we may not have even gone into overtime, which would have been awesome. But still loved it. Still loved the way that they finished that game. Davis stayed hunched on the ground, obviously, for a minute and was tended to by trainers before walking off the field. Should have caught the ball, is what Davis said after the game. It hit my stomach and knocked the wind out of me. Well, when you try to catch a ball from Matthew Stafford, that dude throws. He throws some balls out there that, you just look at Calvin Johnson's fingers. Ennis Rakestraw obviously came in for replacement. Played, the final snap of regulation when Aiden Hutchinson sacked Stafford and the Lions won in overtime, won the coin toss, obviously marched down the field, finished the game. But there was some concern over, Carlton Davis losing his footing and in others, slipping at time. So according to this article, it says several Lions players had issues with their footing, slipping at times on the Ford Field turf. Jahmyr Gibbs stumbled as he ran open in the Rams secondary with just over a minute to play, causing Jared Goff to sail a would-be touchdown over his head. Amon-Ra Brown slipped on an in-breaking route later in the same drive, and Khalif Raymond also lost his footing on a third down incompletion before the Lions settled for the game-tying field goal. Lions running back David Montgomery, he also slipped on multiple occasions, but said it wasn't an issue with the field, right? According to Montgomery, this is what he had to say. I definitely was slipping, he said. Got to get my feet under me, play more on my toes. That can't be an excuse to why I slip. I just got to be sure I get my feet under me, and I'll do that. JMO said that he thought some of the issues was the Lions playing on turf for one of the first games this season. And here's what he had to say. He says, I wouldn't say it was slippery, but it's the first game being on turf for a lot of us. Some of us didn't play in the preseason, so we were just getting back to the turf feel. We practice on grass a lot. So that may be a thing. I'm not really sure about the turf. I think it was okay. I really don't know. I didn't slip. Nope. J-Mo, you didn't slip. Matter of fact, you had a hell of a game. Super shout out to you again, J-Mo. What a game, dude. Way to knock it out the park, man. So here's a question to Dan Campbell. Why are you not practicing on your own field? You have home field advantage. Why are you not bringing the guys in there just to have a practice? I mean, you've got Allen Park. You got a beautiful training facility. Now, I don't know if there was any events over the weekend that prevented it or last week that prevented it. But you would think heading into a game that you would have gone indoors at Ford Field to have a practice to get these guys ready. Maybe this is a thing that they need to do, you know, in upcoming seasons. So with all that said, the slipping, anything you want to add to that, Eric?
You know what would have been cool? They had that Lions loyalty yard sale thing on Thursday. They could have had a private practice for all the loyalty members to come watch a practice and do that function.
Yeah, I still can't believe I missed that.
There you go.
I still can't. It was such a good event. The guys that we sit with absolutely love the event. So another great opportunity for Lions fans to come together and like that event's here to stay. And big ups for the Lions putting that on. I mean, they're giving stuff away left and right. And also, I mean, the garage sale term, I mean, there was a lot of inexpensive stuff. They're just trying to get away, you know, get rid of all the old stuff and some new stuff too. But great event, man. Great event.
So there's a couple of comments here. One from Casey. Rumor for the slips was there's a disinfectant spray that if not applied properly will be slippery. It appears the new season field was not cured properly.
Interesting. I haven't heard that yet, Casey. Have not heard that. I'll follow up on that one. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and then Motown Mitch, seems like time to go back to the old AstroTurf.
Yeah, I mean, I like the way that they're going, you know, with the turf. It obviously has a better feel. If you've ever been on Ford Field in the past, like I was on one of the first turfs like many years ago, and it felt weird. And I played on turf when I played in high school. We went to Houseman Field often, and that was awful. I mean, just so hard. I couldn't imagine, you know, that it ever feeling like that in an NFL game, which it doesn't. I mean, it's pretty bouncy. But you're right, though. I mean, it doesn't feel like grass. We'll never have grass. We'll never have a retractable dome. Which I mean, it sucks. These guys love playing on grass. And, you know, hopefully we get a lot of games on grass versus.
So I got a neat Ford Field turf story. So this weekend, my photographer buddy Doug was a cameraman for the Midland paper, and he took a picture of me going like this, right? And I ended up making the Midland Daily Press. And last year at the Rams versus Lions game last year in the playoffs, I asked him to get me something off of the field at Ford Field. So he did, and he's had this surprise for me all this time. And I stopped at his house yesterday, and he had 2 little vials, and they were full of the little rubber beads from Ford Field from the playoff game and the week 1 game. When he was down, like laying on the field doing photographs of the players in the end zone, he took a handful of the little rubber pellets for me and filled these little vials for me of Ford Field. So I have some Ford Field at home now.
Yeah, those things are cool. They're just like ground up tires, man.
Yeah. It's little.
I have some chunks of Pontiac Silverdome in here somewhere in a box.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got some chunks of it somewhere. Yeah, when they, I mean, I'd be interesting to go back to Pontiac Silverdome to see just how dilapidated it is now. I mean, I don't think they ever finished. I don't think they ever finished the demolition, did they?
Oh yeah.
Is it flat now? Is it gone?
Amazon distribution center or something now there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in probably, I don't know, 6, 7 years, 10 years. I don't know. It's been a long time.
No, it's gone.
So Lions injuries this weekend. You know, we actually escaped this game fairly healthy. Obviously, we're not going to have a full injury report. Oh, super shout out to Fred Peterson. He just joined the loyalty crew, man. Welcome in as a member. Appreciate you, Fred.
Didn't even see it.
And Michael Garrity. Oh, go ahead.
Don't forget, get those likes up, everybody. We need to get up to 50.
There we go. Yeah, we don't play ads for you guys in the morning. I'm sure you're sick of hearing me say that, but we don't play ads in the morning because we want you guys to have that seamless experience. One of the first channels to bring you that opportunity. I know there's some other channels that are starting to fall in line with that. I guess shout out to them for recognizing that the fans are more important than money, because they are. We are more important than $10 of doing a live stream. Just, it's not worth it, man. Rams offensive line took massive hits this weekend in their loss to the Lions, and banged up already heading into this game. They lost center Steve Avila to a sprained MCL, and I mean that's a big one for them. I mean, they're already missing multiple guys on that offensive line, but Puka Nacua goes out with a re-aggravated knee injury was the initial report. Not sure exactly where it is now. Offensive tackle Joe Noteboom also had an ankle injury, so they lost quite a bit. The Lions escaped this game relatively injury-free. I think we are going to see some players on the injury list, though. Now, I haven't seen anything yet. I have scanned and I've tried to look. Obviously, we'll probably get our first taste of injury reports. Could be today, could be tomorrow. There was some guys that were definitely banged up in this game. And Anzalone looked like he took a rib shot. Penei Sewell looked like he suffered some sort of a lower ankle injury.
No, Penei Sewell, he twisted his ankle, got rolled up on something because he was limping super hard right after the play and standing there kind of bent over. And I thought they were going to take a timeout, and they didn't. They went right on to the next play, and he sucked it up and he played through it. And then my buddy Doug, after the game, said he was the one that followed Penei Sewell up the tunnel. Right? He was 3 feet away from him. He said as soon as he got into the tunnel, it was super limpy.
Yeah.
Super gimpy. He didn't show it until he got up in the tunnel away from the fans.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, they try to keep this stuff as hidden as they can so people aren't reporting on it like us, right?
I know.
So Detroit Lions, I think we're going to see some injuries this week. They might be, minor. But I think we're going to have the bumps, the bruises. I mean, you're healthy as you're going to get, heading into week one and post week one. It's inevitable that you're going to have some injuries. So don't be too concerned about it. I think that these guys are going to be bumped and bruised up. I mean, we might even see Carlton Davis on the injury report. He could have, some bruised ribs or something from landed on that ball. So there just could be some things that look exciting, may not be as exciting. But as we get into Friday, when, the final injury reports start to pour out until game time, that's when we'll have a better idea of, how we're looking. Some guys are going to get some rest this week. Our veterans, Frank Ragnow, Taylor Decker, they'll probably get some rest this week. So don't worry about it. It's, definitely don't be too concerned when the clickbait comes out, because it will.
Yeah. I'll tell you, watching it live without any broadcast, anything, it looked like we had 3 players that got the wind knocked out of them. It happened to J-Mo. He went down for a minute. Happened to Terrion Arnold. He went down for a minute. And then Carlton Davis, he went down for a minute. And it looked like all of them just lost their breath. They popped back up and ran back to the sideline.
You know how that hurts so bad.
It does.
It is such a scary feeling too. It's like I don't know how to explain it, but it's almost like your stomach is in your groin. It hurts. It's so painful. That's why they're down. So I want to get into over under here in just a minute, and fantasy league update as well. So Eric, do you have a fantasy league update for us on our fun league here for the Rocked On?
Yeah, sure.
Podcast.
Let's look and see who did what this weekend. Are you guys ready for this? All right. Okay. It's telling me I won. Yes, I already saw that. All right, so let's go to the league, and we're going to go to the standings, and we're going to see who won and who did not. Let's look at the matchups from this last weekend. Oh, let's see here. All right, so my team, Decker Reported, beat the Fearsome Foursome 109-106. Detroit versus
Hold
everybody.
up. It was only 109-106 at the end?
3 points.
Good Lord.
Oh, you could have beat me.
I should have, man. I should have. But Demo did it.
Listen to this one. Holy moly. I got to look and see who they played. Uh-oh. So Trace had Jordan Love. But she had Gibbs. And I thought she had JMO. But I don't see JMO on here.
Just run down the scores of the teams.
She did, yeah. But listen, so Detroit versus everybody won 152-87. Holy moly, that's one heck of a team there.
That's just week one.
That's Ryan Van Valkenburg's team. Okay, now the D-Town Riders beat Chef's team 122-90. Garrity's Grinders beat Tarantino 91-85. Midwest Lion Pride won 148-113. And Pete's Lion Pride won 134-108. So the top scoring team of the week was 152.9 from Detroit versus everybody.
Interesting.
That's a heck of a good. That's a heck of a good score there for this format.
Good opening weekend, man. The first week is always tough. But now that we kind of know who some of these players are, it'll make more sense going into week two. But that super close game between us, Eric. I mean that game was going back and forth, and then I was ahead for like all of Sunday, and then Demo just busted it wide open. And then last night the San Francisco 49ers defense was just running away with it for a minute there. They were supposed to have like 15 points or something crazy. I don't even know how they put that together, and then for them to only have a few points in the end,
yeah. Well, they did intercept good old Karen Rodgers once.
Just about everybody threw an interception. You're going to see that in week one. So while I'm building the wheel spin here, Eric, why don't we go through some over-under reactions? But before we do that, we've got to get to a sponsor. It is the 9 o'clock hour sponsor, so I'm going to run it a little early.
Every day, thousands of people are discovering Lights, Michigan's newest, funnest rock to go find on the shores of the Great Lakes. Don't go out with just any light. Try the Convoy C8 from Lights.com. It's guaranteed for life, and you'll find all the ones everyone else misses. Quality UV lights that are perfect for Lights with prices starting as low as $20. Please make sure to visit Lights.com for all your UV flashlight needs with the best guarantees on the market. Just what you wanted and not what you didn't. The best quality, the best guarantees, and the best UV flashlights from Lights.com.
All right, let's get into some over-under. What do we have for the week? I'm interested to see what you've put together.
All right, so I have a few today. Not as many as normal, but my first one, the Detroit Lions are still on track to win the Super Bowl.
Is that a question or statement?
Is that an overreaction or an underreaction on this Tuesday after the game?
Well, I mean, they won. So they have to be on track, right?
All right.
Even if they lost, they're still on track. So, yeah, I'm going to go with, I don't know how to do an under or over on that. So, are the Detroit Lions, the Detroit Lions are on track to win the Super Bowl still? Is it an overreaction that they're not? Is it an underreaction that they are? You guys let us know in the comments in the chat below. I'm going to go with an underreaction. I think that the Lions are still on pace. There's no knee-jerk reaction for me on this one. Even if they lose this game, they're still on pace.
Yes. So my reaction to it is, I think that the Detroit Lions played one of the absolute toughest teams in the NFC on week 1. I see a lot of people online saying that the Packers had the toughest matchup of the weekend. I don't even think it's close. I think the Rams are the toast of the town in the NFC West.
Toast of the town.
Yeah, and I think they are so much better than the Eagles. I think if the Eagles and Rams played today, even with their banged up O-line and banged up secondary and everything else, I still think the Rams would destroy the Eagles. That's just my personal opinion.
I've never heard of the phrase toast of the town.
Toast of the town? You never heard that before? Oh,
no, that must be a Uper thing.
It must be a UP thing. I don't know. I thought that was a pretty common phrase.
Never heard of it.
Really? You're not the toast of the town, Will?
No. I try to stay under the radar.
All right. So J-Mo was the best wide receiver in the NFC North for week 1.
Well, that's kind of a convoluted question there, because if you're going to go by stats, the answer is no. If you're going to go by how he helped the Detroit Lions win this game and what did he do for his team, so if you frame it that way, maybe was Jameson Williams, the reason why the team won? I would say yes, absolutely, without a doubt. Without J-Mo's work this weekend, the Detroit Lions lose this game, and it may not even have been close. Amon-Ra St. Brown held in check. Sam Laporta held in check. Gibbs didn't light up the scoreboard, as much as maybe we expected. But statistically speaking, J-Mo was not, and we'll get into some of that here in a minute.
Who had better stats than him in the NFC?
I'll explain it when we get there. But I would say that his effort and what he helped his team do this weekend, he was the effort guy. He definitely helped his team win. So I would say that he had the biggest impact on his team. So I'm going to go with, I guess I don't know how to do an over under on that one. J-Mo was the reason why the Lions won this game, without a doubt, offensively for that reason, or offensively he was, I guess what I'm trying to say. So now I'm all tripped up over my own words here, because it's kind of a tough over under reaction on that one. But anyway, we'll move on. What's the next one?
So do you think it's an overreaction or an underreaction that Goff still needs a wide receiver and the Lions defense still needs another edge?
Is it an overreaction or underreaction that the Lions need another receiver? I think they have the other receiver on their practice squad. Mm-hmm. And they absolutely needed another receiver, and that was evident this weekend. If you did not notice Amon-Ra being held in check and Sam Laporta, that's a problem. And that's the same thing that I've been talking about this offseason. If Amon-Ra St. Brown has a bad game, or if he's injured and he's not helping this team, if he's not having, who else are we going to go to? So J-Mo obviously helped, but J-Mo had 5 receptions. Yes, he had spurts, right? He had big plays. No consistency throughout the game, meaning that you couldn't just go to J-Mo when needed. A big body guy was really needed this weekend, someone to go in and box out and create plays. Now, J-Mo obviously created plays more with his legs, more with the yak. Obviously the busted play, the long play to J-Mo, that was huge. But what about when you just need to move down the field? What about when you need a 12-play drive? We didn't really get a big drive like that until overtime. So I would say that we definitely need a receiver to step up in this Tampa Bay game. So I'm going to go with, I guess, is that an underreaction that we do need one?
Yeah.
Okay. And then edge? No. And I'll explain why. I think that the edge that we needed was not in this game. The guy that we needed in this game was healthy scratch. So I think that we have plenty. And I'll explain why I can't stand PFF as usual. I mean, I'm a stats guy. You guys know that, but there's more to the stats. You have to watch the game. If you look at the stats, it tells you a story that's not true.
All right. So I just came up with a new question. Do you think it's an underreaction or an overreaction? Fans have a conspiracy theory that James Houston was a healthy scratch due to the fact that the Lions are going to trade him.
I have not heard this. That's a big overreaction.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a big. I don't see James getting traded.
Me either.
There was actually another story that came out about James Houston, and I guess we could talk about that too. So James Houston was likened to Isaiah Buggs, and last year we saw Isaiah Buggs have a bad camp. Didn't play a whole lot. Healthy scratch throughout the season. Was having attitude issues. Was kind of an issue in the locker room in a bad way, and they're liking James Houston to Isaiah Buggs. I don't know who comes up with this crap. This is nothing but BS in my opinion. James Houston is not that kind of dude.
No,
I mean we don't know, guys. Like, I mean, we would have thought that Isaiah was a perfect teammate at times, and the things that you don't know, they come out later. I don't see where that's happening. I'm sure he's not happy with where he's slotted right now in this roster, but that just means go work harder. There's a reason why Dan Campbell selected to roll with those guys, and we won the game. But that doesn't mean that I don't feel that James Houston couldn't help this team. We needed some more speed off the edge this weekend, and we just didn't. We didn't have enough speed. We'll see where that goes in week 2, though.
Oh, we got Broski Bear in the old chat today. I got something to say to Broski later. He's going to find it very funny.
Man, I see Broski Bear. So I was thumbing through some YouTube yesterday, just kind of going through some things just to kind of see what was out there. He is in literally every single Lions
Everyone
chat, which makes me believe that he is not a Bears fan.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll do it right now. I got to find this real quick. All right, let's see.
I don't even know how someone has that much time, honestly, to be in every chat like that. That's a lot of time.
You are watching every single Lions show there is. So I made a post on my Facebook today, and it was specifically for Broski Bear, and it says, "I wish I had Broski Bear on Facebook." Total yards in week 1 in the NFC North. Jameson Williams, 134 yards. The Chicago Bears, 148. So they had 14 more yards as a total offense than Jameson Williams had in 5 catches and 1 run.
That's funny. That's funny.
So that's all I got to say to Broski Bear this morning. That's my little... Oh, God, Broski. All right, so my next one. Is it an overreaction or an underreaction to think that the NBC announcers are biased towards the Detroit Lions? I don't know if you got to rewatch the broadcast, but apparently they weren't saying a whole lot of nice things about the Detroit Lions. All they did was talk about old Matty Stafford all night.
Well, I mean, hasn't that always been the case?
Well, yeah.
It's always been the case. So for whatever reason, let me just be honest with this. They were all wrong last year. Okay. So they're all salty that they were wrong about the Detroit Lions. And you know what? A lot of analysts are wrong all the time, including myself. So I think that they were just trying to take pot shots at the Lions and saying that, we were the 1 year wonders. We achieved too much. We can't repeat. We're not that great of a team. Enjoy it while you did, because it ain't happening again. And Jordan Love is the second coming to who. And it's like, come on. Give us a little bit of respect here. I mean, it is very difficult to do what we did last year. I don't care where you come from. I don't care where the team's been. To be able to do what the Lions did last season, it's not easy. The fact that teams like the 49ers get back, every single season, I think that there's some other reasons for that. The reasons why the Chiefs get back, and have been getting back more often than any other team, in the last 6-7 years, there's reasons for that. I mean, they have a pretty damn good quarterback, but they have one of the best coaches in the league. And that's what the Lions have now. They've assembled a really solid staff, one of the best head coaches in the league, and they've got a really good team. So the fact that they were all trying to bet against the Lions this weekend, I'm not surprised. Keep doing it. Please, keep doing it. Keep betting against the Lions all season long because we love it. Just like Matthew Stafford says he loves the booze, right? It energizes him even that much more. We love being underdogs. And keep giving it to us because we'll just keep showing up and shutting you up every week, right?
Yeah. Did you see on the pregame?
Whoops.
Busted. You sure about that?
Sorry. I mean, that was a boomer busted take, I guess.
Busted.
Did you see in the pregame that 5 out of 6 of them predicted the Rams to win the game?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I wasn't surprised. Wayne Rogers says Collinsworth seemed confused about the overtime rules. Overtime rules are pretty simple now. Everybody gets a chance to possess the ball unless you take the ball and you score a touchdown on your first possession, game's over. But if you don't score a touchdown on your first possession, the next drive, they just keep playing back and forth until that period ends. And it's pretty simple now. I like the way that they're trying to simplify it a little bit here. I did get something horribly wrong, though, when we were talking. I was so exhausted yesterday when we were talking about reviews, like, every turnover is reviewed, every scoring play is reviewed. You really can't challenge it unless you challenge the spot. You can challenge the spot of the ball, which then leads them to look at it. So there is a way you can finesse it a little bit. It'll never happen, though. I don't think that Dan Campbell wanted to waste a timeout.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Is this an overreaction of mine? The defense held the Rams to under 100 yards rushing and under 20 points or less. That was Will's magic number, correct?
say that again. I'm sorry.
So the Lions defense held the Rams under 100 yards rushing.
Yep.
And they held them to 20 points. Will's magic number of 20.
Told you. Ain't happening.
But our passing game is still a weakness. Our
passing defense
is still a weakness. Is that an overreaction of mine?
That it's still a weakness?
Yes.
No. I think that the first week was tough. You went up a really good offense. You went up against one of the best quarterbacks in the league. It's week 1. I mean, there's so much that is going to happen in week 1, 2, and 3 that you're not going to like. And by week 4, you see it every season. That's when the teams start to separate themselves. It'll be the first quarter that you get through. There's going to be some ups. There's going to be some downs. There might be a game in there that you shouldn't lose, that you lose, and that's okay. Because after the first quarter, you have to dial it in. You have to. You cannot take more than one loss per quarter if you expect to make the playoffs. So for the Detroit Lions to pull this game out, this is a game where we probably should have lost by the way that we played. But there was so many other good things happening in this game that it equaled out. And matter of fact, the Lions defense got some pretty good grades. So I would say that it's not so much an overreaction as it is, it's just week 1. And these things are going to smooth out. I mean, we have a rookie out there playing corner up against Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua at times. I mean, that is a very difficult task going up against a healthy Cooper Kupp. I don't care what corner it is. Cooper Kupp has diced up everybody. So Terrian did what he could do. And you know what we saw this weekend? What did I say was going to happen week 1 with these corners? What was the most important thing that I felt was going to help this defense finally transition?
They were going to take some lumps.
Well, that and they traveled. Terrion Arnold was back and forth in that defense following his assignment the whole game. So we have not done that in the past. Now, we are still stuck in some sort of a zone defense. Why? That really boggled my mind. That I think was more of, okay, we're not going to put you in a position to lose, right off the jump. We're going to kind of try to keep things underneath us. Bend but don't break defense is kind of what we saw this weekend. That will change. This team is going to get more aggressive. I promise you. I see it. I seen it during practice. I seen it during some of the preseason. We will dial up the pressure. And I'm expecting for more man defense on the outside with our corners. We just gotta get there. These guys have to they have to get some reps. They have to get the cobwebs out. They have to feel comfortable, and it'll come.
Yeah. So Rick has a great comment in here. We dropped several INTs. A couple would have went for touchdowns. Yeah. And I do wholeheartedly agree. Listen, we should have had 4 interceptions in that game. Yep. Hit our defensive guys right in the hands.
So, I mean, just to give you an idea here, 2024 overall team grades for the Lions' first game. Mm-hmm. Overall, your Detroit Lions, and this is an over-under question, right? Is it an over or under reaction that your Detroit Lions finished in the top 10 overall after you've watched this game, the outcome of the game? Is it an over or under reaction that your Lions should finish in the top 10 overall? What do you think?
Under.
You think it's an underreaction, so you felt we did enough?
Oh, I felt we did enough for sure. We played one of the toughest teams in the NFL. I'm telling you what, right now, the Rams are going to win the NFC West. The Rams are going to be in the playoffs, and they are going to be a tough out in the playoff. We might have to play them again at home. Yep. They talk about rivalries and making this into a rivalry game between the Rams and the Lions. They love it because it's Goff going back against his old team and Stafford going back home and playing against his old team. And they love to bring up the Kelly Stafford stuff and booing his kids. And they love all the drama that this brings back. It is so good for the NFL. They absolutely love it.
So if I were to have an overreaction for, week 1 and looking at my board, I would say that, yeah, the Jets, I probably got them wrong at the top of their division, right? But I have the Eagles at the top of the East. I have the Lions at the top of the North. I had the Bucks at the top of the South and the Rams at the top of the West in the NFC. I have the Jets at the top of the East, the Browns at the top of the North, the Texans at the top of the South, and your Chargers at the top of the West. So I picked that 5 weeks ago based on, and I didn't redo it like I wanted to prior to the season starting. So each week, probably on Thursdays or Fridays, probably Thursdays, I'll do, I don't know, maybe I'll change a few things, but I'm going to leave that the way that it is. But I'll probably talk about, the ebbs and the flows of each division and how, they're moving up, moving down. But those are my calls for the season based on what, their rosters were looking like when they were healthy, what I witnessed out of preseason games, with their depth pieces and the 53-man roster. So that's really kind of where, all of that stuff ties in. Obviously, the 53-man roster came after I selected those, but I think that those are pretty solid calls for the year. All right, so it is 8:58 a.m. I want to get to the Panay Sewell drawing here, the Rock Down Cancer Foundation first weekly drawing. And we had over 27 purchases of the helmet. Now, up right now is a Chris Spielman autographed mini helmet. We also have the Eric Hipple bonus drawing right now. And you'll see on the screen here. Right there. If you guys scan that QR code, you can get in a chance to win a Chris Spielman autographed mini helmet. And yes, I do have the original old school helmet. I have a few different versions of it. But there's going to be a lot of these. There's going to be a lot of Panay Sewells. There's going to be a lot of Chris Spielmans coming up throughout the season. And then bonus ones. So I will get the neon light up. Let me show you what it looks like real quick.
I bought the coolest Detroit Lions shirt at the Fanatic shop across from the stadium yesterday. It's got the old school Bubbles logo on it and the old way they used to write the Lions in the end zones. And dude, it is super cool. It's all like it sticks off the shirt. It's like a big, not engraved, but however they do that stuff. Oh, that's cool. Big old Miller Lite neon sign. Official sponsor. Harley Davidson. Oh, that's cool. Harley and Miller Lite.
So that is a really rare Harley Davidson and Miller Lite neon light. It's an old school one. It is it does work. It has been turned on and tested. So it does work at this moment. Now I won that this year. I put some donations in and won that one, but now I want to repurpose it. So that'll be a used item that is up for raffle that'll get added hopefully today, and that one will kind of run a few weeks. I think we'll run that one for a few weeks because that's an expensive one that's going to obviously have a minimum put with it. So let's get to our drawing. Okay, make sure we can see this here.
Oh, just so everybody knows, I did put in for this. And if I win, I'll have Will redraw another one and I'll send them a consolation prize.
Okay. There we go. All right, so we got all the names up. It is the 9 o'clock hour. You do not have to be present to win. If you did, when you do go through Buy Me a Coffee /Rockdown and purchase your raffle tickets, just make sure you answer the question where I at least have an email to get a hold of you. I will not put your emails up. I will not share your information. I try to use as limited amount of information as I can, just so we have something to go off of here during the drawing. But if you just give me your email, I can reach out. And then of course we need your address so we can ship it to you. So here we go. The first Rockdown drawing, Rockdown Cancer Foundation drawing of the season, the week 1 Panay Sewell mini helmet. Congratulations to everybody that got in. Let's see who the winner is. Jared Goff's bulge. Look at that, man. He also does a really great job at helping to push the content for us when we do these. So congratulations to Jared Goff's bulge. I'll be reaching out to you on Twitter a little bit later today and make sure that we get you your prize, buddy. Appreciate all your help. I appreciate everybody that purchased a raffle ticket and your donation to the Rockdown Cancer Foundation. It is much appreciated. It will go a very long way. Next week, we are going to get the kids drive going. We'll be looking for donations of school supplies. And right now at like Meijer and other, retailers, everything is like 75, 80%, off. So $10, $15 can go a long way. We'll take gift cards, whatever you guys want to do. If you can, $5, $10 will go a very long way. So the next time you're at your Meijer retailer, grocery store, check out their school supplies. Looking for everything, pencils, pads of paper, whatever. Anything will help. We're going to collect it between now and June 1st of next year. So, a long time so that we can hopefully stuff about 400 backpacks is my goal. It's a huge goal. Even if I get to 100, I'd be happy. But that's a big goal for us this year. Anyway, congratulations, Jared Goff's bulge. Check out Buy Me a Coffee /Rockdown if you would like to donate to Rockdown Cancer Foundation. We'd much appreciate any consideration that you would give us. Even sharing the content helps as well. All right, so what's up next, Eric? Are we done with under reactions for the day?
I might have had one or two more. We got over 50 likes today. Now let's get to 100, everybody.
There we go. It's always a great goal.
Yeah.
All right, so NFC North. Now, you had brought up J-Mo being the best receiver. You still going to hold on to that?
Best wide receiver for week 1 in the NFC North. Who was better?
Statistically, he was not.
What? Who was better?
Well, let's find out. Let me pull it up here.
The Reed kid for Green
There
Bay.
you go.
70-yard bomb. Because CJGJ decided to run into the stands instead of go after him.
Well, that's CJGJ. That's CJGJ for you.
Oh, God, that guy's horrible.
All right, so player stats. If we take a look at what happened around the league this weekend, I guess we'll start with wide receiver. So Jaden Reed is your number 1 wide receiver in the NFC North for week 1 of the Green Bay Packers. He caught 4 balls, 138 yards, 1 TD with a long touchdown of 70, or a long reception of 70. Number 2, Jameson Williams, 5 for 121, 1 TD with a long touchdown pass of 52 yards. Now, I will say from a advantage to your team, J-Mo was a big reason why the Lions won this weekend. So I do believe that, when you look at these guys that have just astronomical numbers like this, I mean, shoot, he averaged, almost 24 yards a catch? That's insane.
Plus, he also had an end-around rush for another 13 yards.
But just passing. So just passing,
Yeah.
J-Mo was in number 2. Jaden Reed was number 1. Justin Jefferson in number 3 spot. He was 4 of 59 with 1 TD and a long of 44. DJ Moore, the lowly Chicago Bears, 5 for 8, 36 yards, no TDs, just a long play of 13. Now, if you take everything into consideration here, including, how many rush yards did J-Mo get?
I think 13.
It wasn't a bunch. Let me go back into it here.
Yeah, I saw one thing that came out from the Lions that said he had 141 yards total, but then everything else I saw, it was 120 something.
Yeah, so he had, look, this is according to like PFF, and I've looked at CBS, NBC, ESPN. I look at them all. Jameson Williams had 13 rush yards on 1 carry.
Yeah.
So if you had 13 to 121, you're looking at 135 or 134.
Yeah.
That's what he did this weekend, 134. So that still doesn't touch Jaden Reed's reception amount. So he's still behind Jaden Reed's output, total output for the weekend.
Okay, we'll give the Packers their flowers one time.
I know. Hey, look, we can't call favorites here. I mean, this is just a statistical output, Can't do anything about it. Now, Jaden Reed, rush-wise, he had 1 for 33. So he actually beat J-Mo on that aspect too. But
All right.
I still believe that J-Mo was the biggest reason why the Lions won this game. One of the biggest reasons why. Offensively. So let's transition to quarterbacks.
Sure.
Quarterbacks, you won't believe this. Who do you think was number 1?
Jordan Love.
No.
Or no, I mean Sam Darnold. Excuse me.
Sam Darnold. Now, if you go by total yards, Jordan Love.
Yeah.
If you go by completion percentage in TDs, Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
19 to 24. I mean, what a hell of a percentage there. 19 to 24 is incredible. 208 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception.
Yep.
Jared Goff would be number 2, 18 of 28, so a better completion percentage, 217 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. But you probably got to put Jordan Love at number 2 because he was 17 of 34 for 260 with 2 TDs and an interception. I think that, and maybe we need to define, how we're going to rank them. But this is not PFF rankings. This is nobody else's rankings. This is just where are we putting them based on their statistical output. So should TDs have more bearing than completion percentage? Should yards thrown have more bearing than TDs? Like where do you think we should slot these guys? I was kind of going completion percentage, then TDs, then yards. So really Jordan Love is in the number 2 spot.
Yeah. I hate to admit it, but I'd probably put Jordan Love number 2 over Goff. He had a better game.
Jared Goff, 18 of 28, 217 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. And then number 4 here. What's that guy's name over there in Chicago?
I don't know. Paints his nails guy. He didn't even have 100 yards.
Oh, speaking of the painting of the nails guy. So Caleb Williams, I did reach out to a scientist last night and asked him about the drag percentage of painted nails versus non-painted nails. And he did say, something multiplied by pi less some sort of a win factor rating that it has a drag percentage of like 0.08 something. I don't know. It's legit. If he paints his nails, he's going to have a bad game. So we'll just look at that each week. If he paints his nails, he's not going to have a good game. Williams is 14 of 29, 93 yards, no TDs, no interceptions. What a god-awful game for the first week.
He might have had the worst numbers of any quarterback in the NFL this weekend and ended up winning the game because of his defense and special teams.
Yeah, but that's what's crazy to me is he gets the first win for a rookie first round, first pick ever. He gets credited for a win. He did absolutely nothing to help his team win.
Nothing.
So, again, if you look at stats, like you guys know I'm a big stats guy, but if you look at stats on their face, it tells you a totally different story than what happened, except when the stats are that bad. It really kind of tells you what happened in that game. Overall, though, I put out this little brag video of the pregame show, and I posted it on Twitter. I think I put it on YouTube, too. I pretty much called what was going to happen in this game. I said that Jared Goff was going to be like 22 of 28. Well, I was a little off. He was 18 to 28. I thought that he would have thrown for 300 yards. I really thought that St. Brown would have had, 50, 60, and Laporta would have had like 50, 60, and, J-Mo would have had, whatever, but it didn't happen. He threw 217, so I was a little off on that one, but I did say that he would throw a TD to J-Mo. I did say that Gibbs and Monty would both score a TD on the ground. It happened. I said that Montgomery would run for 90 yards. He ran for 91. I said that Montgomery was going to be the leading rusher in that game, and he was. So, fairly on target. Kind of a near miss. Wasn't an exact bullseye, but pretty close. I'm confident in what I read and what I saw and the information that I put together. That was pretty close. So, got to try to build my credibility up a little bit. I'm happy with my statistical output this weekend. I got some work to do, though. Running backs. Aaron Jones, 14 for 94, 1 TD. He's your number 1 rusher so far in the NFC North. David Montgomery, number 2, 17 to 91, 1 TD. Now, he did have a longer run than Aaron Jones, 21 versus his 19. Josh Jacobs, 16 for 84, 0 TDs. And then DeAndre Swift, 10 for 30, 0 TDs. He did have a long of 14. And I don't know what you guys saw, and I'm not just trying to pick on the Bears, but I saw the DeAndre Swift from the Detroit Lions. That's what I saw. The guy's like afraid of getting broken or something, like he's glass. He does not finish runs. And he's like afraid of getting hit. So those are your offensive winners for the week. So number 1 quarterback, Sam Darnold. Number 1 wide receiver, Jaden Reed. Number 1 running back, Aaron Jones. Your Detroit Lions are 3rd, 2nd, and 2nd, respectively. So not a bad weekend for opening weekend. We did enough to win. I think that's all that matters, right?
So overall, if you had to power rank your NFC North teams as a whole, how would you rank them?
If I had to power, are we including defense in this?
Yeah. Offense, defense, everything. Just your power rank for the NFC North for this weekend only.
You're going to be shocked.
Really?
Yeah.
You're going to put the Vikings at 1, aren't you?
Yep. Vikings at 1, Lions at 2.
I'm not, because the Lions played a much tougher team.
I'm not a homer.
They played a much tougher team. Listen, it's Lions, Vikings, Packers, Bears.
Yeah, I don't think you can, man. The Vikings defense was, I said it. Their new linebackers. Didn't Van Ginkel have a pick six?
But they played the Giants.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean much, man. I mean, it's still an NFL team.
They played the Giants. I got to see it against somebody that at least made the playoffs last year.
Yeah, if you're just going based off of stats and what happened this weekend,
Yes.
your Vikings, or not your Vikings, but the Vikings, I think they had a better game.
Yep, they did.
They had a better game.
They had better output on both sides of the ball. They did.
I don't even know where PFF has them, honestly.
Who did the Vikings play? Danny Food Stamps.
Danny Food Stamps. Where's that? Oh, someone in the chat. I got you. So let's do our recap here. So your Minnesota Vikings, not that any of us are Minnesota Vikings fans. We could have some in here that are hiding behind the wall. But
Hey, a lot of my friends are Vikings fans.
Sam Darnold delivered 2 touchdown passes in a very strong debut for the Minnesota Vikings, helping his team dominate the Giants 28-6 at MetLife Stadium. 22-yard completion to Josh Oliver set up a short Aaron Jones touchdown run to open up the scoring in that game. Sam Darnold then connected with Justin Jefferson for a 3-yard touchdown and later hit Jalen Naylor on a 21-yard strike to extend the lead, giving the Vikings a solid performance, or a solid platform, I should say, as they aim to bounce back from last season's 7-10 finish. PFF's dedicated team of graders was hard at work as usual, analyzing every player on every play in real time. Not that that means much, because I feel like some of this stuff is jaded for sure. But the grades and data will be available. Let's see, it was today or yesterday. It was available yesterday. What they had said was Sam Darnold was the player of the game, and he was clinical from a clean pocket. Clinical from a clean pocket, which means he was operating at a very high level. Completed 14 of 15 attempts for 151 yards, 10.1 yards per attempt when he was clean from pressure. Now, they didn't say much as far as the defense, but if we go in and look at their grades, let's take a look at their grades. Come on. Where is it? Take me just a second to get all this stuff pulled up. I can't have it all up. Here we go. Minnesota Vikings at your New York Giants. So Dexter Lawrence posted a 92.6 overall defense. He had 6 total pressures, 1 sack, 1 tackle, 1 assist, no missed tackles. He had 2 stops, and he posted a 92.3 pass rush score, run defense grade of 78.5, tackle rate of a 69.7. So overall, 92.6. Andrew Phillips, cornerback, slot corner, 84.3. Those are the 2 highest graded defensive players. Where are those are your two highest graded players for the Giants. Minnesota, Andrew Van Ginkel posted a 90.6 on defense, 95.9 in coverage. That's what the Lions are missing. Is a really good coverage linebacker. I still felt the Lions are left wide open in the middle of the field, and I'm blaming the linebackers on that. And we'll talk more about it tonight in the All 22 review. 3 total pressures, 1 sack, 1 hit, 1 hurry, 2 tackles, no missed tackle percentage, 2 stops. And I could have sworn he had a interception return for a touchdown. Let's take a look here. He did have an interception. And I don't see where it tells me if it was a pick 6 or not. Sometimes their stats just don't line up the way you want it to. But overall, when you look at the Vikings defense, just like I said, 3 weeks ago, I said that the Vikings are probably going to have the better defense in the middle, right? Their linebacking core was going to be outstanding. We'd have to go all the way back to, when I did the unbiased reviews of each team. And I said that the Vikings were going to be the better team overall. I just felt the Lions would catch up throughout the season. But these grades are incredible. Free safety, Harrison Smith, a 90.4. Ivan Pace Jr., the will linebacker, 82.2. Harrison Phillips, 80.3. Josh Metellus, strong safety, 80.2. Jihad Ward, 79.9. Stephen Gilmore, 75.8. Blake Cashman, 74. But when you look at their run defense grades, I mean, they're all kind of hovering around the 80s. Van Ginkel didn't have the best run defense grade, 51.8. But overall, man, very, very, very tough defense to deal with. And they're going to be a very tough defense to deal with this season. Let's kick it over to the Lions. What I'd like to do is have this open up to the Vikings, and it won't. Your Detroit Lions finished 4th overall in the NFL. 4th.
Ooh.
From a power rank perspective, according to PFF, 4th. Let me say it again. 4th. That's craziness. This did not look like a 4th rated team in this game.
You have to remember who we were playing.
It's a tough team. Tough
One
team.
of the toughest teams in the NFL. These guys are going to be, after 4 or 5 weeks, these guys are going to be top 5, top 10. They're going to be up there.
So, offense finished outside the top 10 at 11th, which I'm okay with that. I would rather have a bad game and we win than have a really good game and we lose. Defense. What do you think we finished, Eric?
Overall?
Yeah.
5th.
3rd.
Wow.
Now, that one didn't make any sense to me because Matthew Stafford put up over 300 yards.
Well, the thing was, though, Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford, they sliced us up after Puka Nacua went down. When Puka Nacua went down, because he was trying to hit Puka early, and he hit him a couple times, and then Puka got hit out of bounds and hurt his knee again. Cooper Kupp and him just dinked and dunked us all day long. And I think they were purposely trying to pick on Terry and Arnold.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Moonscar, that's total. So total overall, right? Team grades. Overall, the Lions finished 4th. Overall, they finished 3rd for defense. Overall, they finished 11th on offense and 8th in special teams. So that's the overall grades in the NFL against all other 32 teams. Now, if we were to dive into this a little bit here and talk about individual performances. Now, you guys know that I was not extremely happy, and we'll talk about it tonight with some of the things that are going to show up on tape. But when we talk about defensive ends, let me pull them up. Some of these grades do not make sense to me. I don't know where it just went, but I got to find it again because it laid it out nicely.
I like what Rick says in the chat here. The Eagles and Rams are playoff teams. The Titans and Giants will have top 5 draft picks. That is a 100% accurate statement.
Where did it go? Let me try to get back to it here. Oh, come on. Here we go.
Precision Staining says we had a really good red zone defense. Yes, and I think also we got bailed out on a holding call that pushed them back because they were first in goal from the one or the 2 and ended up getting pushed all the way back to the 17. And they couldn't do anything on third down. I think they got like 6 or 7 yards and had to kick a field goal to tie the game.
So here, yeah.
We
So
really lucky with that call.
here's the thing that bothers me about PFF grades, and this is why we're going to watch the tape, because Marcus Davenport was given a 67 overall defensive grade. Aiden Hutchinson was given a 94. And this makes zero sense. So follow along with me a little bit here. Indulge me for a minute. Pressures. Number 1, Aiden had 70 total snaps to 11 pressures. Okay. That's overall. So 11 divided by 70 is a 15.7 pressure rate. Davenport had 6 pressures on 49 snaps, which is a 12.3% pressure rate. 12.3 to 15.7 is not that big of a difference. So how do you go from a 67 to a 94 when your efficiency scores are that close? They each had a sack, so they're even there. Hutch had 4 quarterback hits to Davenport's 2. So that's a 5.7 hit rate on snap count. And Davenport had a 4.1 rate on snap count. So again, you're within a 1.5 difference here. That is not much at all. At all. Hurries. Davenport had 3 on 49, which is a 6.1% win rate on hurries. Hutchinson had 4 or 6 hurries on 70 snaps, which is an 8.6. So 8.6 for Hutch and 6.1 to Davenport. So we're talking about 2.5 points here. Not that big of a difference. No batted balls, tackles. Davenport wasn't credited with a tackle. Hutch was credited with 3 and an assist and a missed tackle. 20% missed tackle rate for Hutch. Davenport got 1 assist and 1 missed tackle. So a 50% missed tackling rate, which that number is highly skewed. If you're not credited with a tackle at all, how do you have a missed tackle percentage that high? It's kind of weird the way that they do it. But overall, in coverage, so Davenport in coverage, neither one of them dropped in coverage according to this. Defensive lineman snap counts. Marcus Davenport was on the D line for all of his snaps. So was Aiden. And I need to see what this key is here. BGP and OVT. But anyway, I don't know what those. I don't think those two really even matter a whole lot. The point that I'm trying to make here is, how do you go from a 94 to a 67? So you're talking almost 30-point difference, and your stats and efficiency lines are almost identical. You can't put too much credit on the amount of pressures, right? The amount of hits, the amount of hurries, because of the snap count. So if Davenport was in there for 70 and Aiden was in there for 70 snaps and they had mirror image of stats, I bet you Davenport still would have had a lower grade. And I don't know why. But I think that he had a better game because of the way that he contained his edge, the way that he, didn't miss on plays. Aiden had a 59.3 run defense grade, Davenport a 58.3, so almost identical. Tackling, Aiden had a 74.3, Marcus Davenport a 73.3. Pass rush, Aiden had a 95.7, Davenport had a 75.5, and coverage a 60 to a 63. So the only difference in their scores, literally, is pass rush. That is the only difference here in their score. according to PFF. But you have a 20-point difference between pass rush, and then you have a 30-point difference in overall, but all of their other scores are identical, and their efficiency rankings are almost identical. How does that make any sense? Again, you've got individuals that are watching these, that are giving them these scores, and I feel like it's highly skewed. And I'm not knocking on Aiden about this. This would reign true for any top build athlete on a team, right? The narrative. This is where the narratives come in. This is why PFF is under the gun right now by, so to speak, by so many analysts and people that are involved in doing podcasts and then reviewing stats and things, because these stats don't make sense next to the grades. It's almost meaningless, and that's why the stats tell you part of the story, right? The eye test tells you the rest. And that's exactly why we're going to do the all 22, because I feel like people think that I'm just an Aiden hater. I'm not. I just see what I see. And I want to see more from him, like pressure. So let's be honest about what pressure means. You are literally moving a guard or a tackle back 1 yard into the pocket. That's it. That's all you're doing. That's all you have to do. Then it counts as a pressure. So those numbers can be highly skewed again if Davenport is not crashing down, right? If he's containing his edge, he's not going to have as many pressures. If Aiden is constantly flying to the quarterback and Davenport is playing containment, you can't say one had a better game than the other because of that stat alone. I think that the statistical output is a good basis to kind of give you an idea. But we really need to look at the tape together to then define it. What was different about their game? How effective were they? How efficient were they? And this wasn't a very efficient game, I would say, for either of them. But I mean, 11 pressures. I mean, that's a big number. But to have one sack on 11 pressures, you have less than a 10% win rate. That's not good. And that's what we saw last year with Aiden. Tons of pressure. Couldn't get home. And we'll review tonight that sack, what happened on that sack. He was way late on getting to Stafford. I mean, Stafford was hanging onto the ball, just going by memory, but we'll figure it out tonight. How effective were these guys? How effective was Davenport when he was in the game? And I think that the answer for me is Davenport did exactly what I expected he was going to do for week 1. And he played pretty damn good. And for people that are still kind of clapping their hands for needing another edge rusher, we do not need it. Davenport is going to be able to hang with Aiden. I guarantee you. Matter of fact, he's going to have better games than Aiden. He might even have more sacks than Aiden this year just because of the way that he plays. And I don't think it matters who has more. To be honest with you, it doesn't to me. I'd rather see Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes, and Jack Campbell have more sacks than anybody. I truly would. I would rather see the middle of our defense have more opportunity. And as soon as DJ Reader gets in this game, Davenport's going to light it up like a Christmas tree. What do you got to say, Eric?
Well, I think that, let's see.
Wait, hold on. Just so you guys, I'm not an OSU fan. No, absolutely not. No. Nope. Just not a Michigan fan, but I separate Saturdays from Sundays. So Saturdays are gone for me when we're talking about professional athletes. I think a good analyst, unlike some other shows that you'll see, in the morning on a certain street, they can't separate Saturdays from Sundays. They just can't. They only see one thing, and that's maize and blue. You have to separate. These are professional athletes now. Aiden is a Detroit Lion. He is not a U of M Wolverine anymore. So that's how I evaluate. That's how I look. It doesn't matter where they went to school. The minute they sign a contract with an NFL team, that's who they are to me. For the record, yeah, I've always been a Spartan fan. I was a Michigan fan up until I was 13 years old. And then my sister went to state and I got sick of the U of M Wolverines, Michigan Wolverines, constantly losing in the Rose Bowl. Constantly breaking my heart. And so I deflected and went to this, start watching the Spartans because my sister was a Spartan, and I've stayed loyal to them the entire time. So, but again, I separate Saturdays and Sundays. None of what happened on Saturday 25 years ago or even last year matters to me. Does not matter to me at all. Yeah.
So 40 Gumble says, does PFF take missed holding calls into account? I don't believe so.
Say that again.
Does PFF take missed holding calls into account? Saying that Aiden and Davenport were being held every friggin' play, which they were, but nothing was getting called. There was one play where I can't remember if it was Davenport or Aiden Hutchinson got around the edge behind Stafford and was about to wrap Stafford up, but he couldn't do it, and Stafford got away because that defensive end had an offensive lineman literally on his back, holding him, bear hugging him from behind, and took him down. And that was the reason he couldn't make the sack. And I can't remember if it was Aiden or Davenport. I wasn't paying attention to jersey numbers. I was just screaming, "Where's the call? Where's the call?" And that play went for, I think, 14 yards and a first down. And it was 3rd and 9. And I'm like, come on. It was one of the worst holding calls I've ever seen. And there was a ref standing 5 feet in front of him, looking directly at Matt Stafford, and didn't throw a flag for anything.
I mean, I get it. People say that Hutch or whatever, they're held all the time. I mean, he does get his fair share of non-called, penalties. That things are just not getting called. I would say that he gets his fair share, of holding penalties that should be called. But you know what I think is the problem for Aiden? Is in my opinion, he's trying to pull the LeBron. On every play, on every single play, he is trying to get a penalty called for a holding call. And refs are, at some point, are going to be like, dude, just give it up. Like, just go play.
But you know what he's not doing?
Don't worry about us not calling the penalty, because the more you are worried about a ref not doing his job, the less you are doing to win that rep. If you're looking at the ref while you're engaged and like saying, "Come on, dude, come on, throw the flag," well, you are taking yourself out of the play. So go get in the play. Don't worry about what the ref's doing. Quit trying to flop all over the ground.
Listen.
Stay on your feet.
You know what I didn't see Hutch do one time yesterday?
On Sunday, what?
He didn't throw his arms up in the air like he was doing before.
Oh, he did.
When he get a call. I didn't see him once throw his arms up in the air.
Oh, he did.
No, he didn't. You're going to need to go back.
You forget that I watched the tape.
Go watch the game.
I got it queued up in front of me right now.
I didn't see him throw his arms up.
So we'll see it. We'll see it tonight. He does this thing where
I want to see that.
He gets underneath the tackle, and so the tackle will have his arm kind of barred across his chest, and he puts his hands up like this. The one thing that I really want to see from Hutch, which he could have been highly effective with it this weekend, is just put his hands up on the spin. So I think quarterbacks are getting used to his spin move because he's coming in low. If he would just turn and put his hands up, he would bat so many balls down.
Oh, yeah.
That's all he has to do. Just put your hands up, because they're throwing it right over his head when he's spinning, because he's taking himself out of the play for that quarter of a second or whatever. And they're expecting it. That spin move gets him in more trouble than not, I think. It's a good spin move. I mean, he's fast, but I think it kind of gets him out of the play at times, where he could just continue to bull rush and win on the outside versus trying to go back to the inside, where then you have a guard that is right there that he's got to try to beat or thread the needle through that gap. But we'll talk about it tonight. We'll see it tonight. Right. You guys can dislike my takes. That's okay. I'm going to show you the tape. Tape don't lie. It's right there, right in front of you. So spend your $9.99, get in and watch the tape, and you'll see. Then you know what? We'll see what people say in the chat tomorrow after they watch the tape, and they can say, yeah, Will's right, or no, Will's a homer, or Will's wrong, or Will's a U of M hater, or whatever you want to call me. we'll talk about it tomorrow after we talk about it tonight. But overall, Aiden had a great game. Absolute great game. High motor, right? Obviously, there's some inconsistencies. But what I'm trying to point out here is Marcus Davenport does not deserve a 67 grade if Aiden is getting a 94.
No.
When their efficiency is damn near identical. So it just doesn't, I'm calling into question PFF more than I am calling into question Aiden. This is what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
I'm calling into question why is it drastically different for a number 2 overall pick to a former first round pick 6 years ago or whatever with Marcus Davenport?
Yeah.
And I believe it's narrative driven. So that's the point that we need to be taking away from this. And I think that you should be super excited that Davenport had 6 pressures on 49 total reps, which means that they're able to win. Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes, Ali McNeil only registered 1 pressure. That shouldn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
That should, especially going up against an offensive line that was as beat up as it was. You're telling me that Jonah Jackson could hold back Ali McNeil this weekend? That made 0 sense to me. That Aleem was not having success this weekend. Maybe there's a reason why that deal's not done. Maybe they've seen some things that they just don't like yet. They're trying to see where he's going to go in his 4th season, if he's going to be able to kind of, take the next step.
Yeah.
I would have expected Ali McNeil to have way more output in this game. Aiden was moving all over the place, and this should have been a game that Ali McNeil should have been able to have more success. But again, we'll talk about it more tonight. Levi, though. Yep. Levi, 5 total pressures in this game. 1 sack, 2 hits, 2 hurries. And again, this is where I'm going to challenge PFF again. So he had almost identical numbers to Davenport. He had 1 extra rep, and he gets a 62.3 to Davenport 67. No missed tackles. 2 stops, which is 2 more than Davenport. And he gets a 62.3. It doesn't make any sense to me. So Ali McNeil, same thing. Ali McNeil get a 67.9. He literally has no stats. He had 1 pressure, 1 hurry, 1 tackle. No missed tackle percentage. Levi outworked him by 5. And he gets a lower grade. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So that's why we have to get in and watch the tape, because that's where we're going to marry this stuff up with. Terry and Arnold. What did you think about Terry and Arnold's first game?
I liked it. I thought there was a few things he could clean up, especially not catching interceptions. He could have had one yesterday or
Sunday,
day before yesterday. Well, my days are all screwed up. But I like the kid. He was traveling all around with Cooper Kupp. He was really following Cooper Kupp, and he went up against one of the best to ever do it, dude. Cooper Kupp is, he's pretty damn close to a gold jacket type receiver, right? If he's not there, he's really close. He is really, 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 really good. What does Cooper Kupp do every year? He just puts up 1 million catches, dinks and dunks, and gets a ton of yards, and usually a lot of touchdowns. And to have Terrion have that be his very first game in the league, that was pretty good. I didn't think he did too bad. Just he needs to clean a few things up. I don't like that they were doing zone instead of man. I wish they would have been jamming the receivers at the line a little bit more. Get some guys off their routes so these timing patterns weren't working so great over the middle. I don't know why we can't defend the middle of the field. It drives me nuts.
Yeah, it drives me nuts too. Really drives me nuts. But it'll get cleaned up. It'll absolutely get cleaned up. But yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot that we saw from this game that I can't wait to see when it all comes together. I really, really can't wait.
And we all have to remember this was the first game. Listen, none of these guys played in the preseason. Arnold played a little bit and that got hurt. And how much is that pectoral muscle bothering him still? I was really happy when we got to see Rakestraw go in for a couple of plays. I tried to watch him on the 2 plays that I saw him in there, and he was glue. He was like right on the receiver. That guy had no chance to get a ball thrown his way on the 2 plays that I saw Rakestraw in. So to see the 2 rookies get in, get their feet wet, that's all we can ask for. I didn't see Terrion getting torched. I didn't see anybody have a 70-yard touchdown on him. So it wasn't like back to Jeff Okudaville. So I liked seeing that. That was really nice to see him. He didn't have any big giant flubs in the game.
So for me, Terrion Arnold played exactly the way I expected a rookie to play. What I did love is his mirror match ability. He was able to stay sticky. I mean, he was kind of hip to hip with a lot of these guys. He didn't really get, awkwardly beat a whole lot. But again, I'll see what we see tonight. The biggest thing that I really took out of his game was yak yards, and he only allowed, I think the number was 10. Let me go back here and look. Yeah, he only allowed 10 yak yards, which is phenomenal. Only 7.1 yards per reception. Again, phenomenal. Only 57 yards total against Terrion Arnold in the game. It was an 80% reception rate, though, which that number's got to drive down a little bit. He's got to get down into the 60s. He had 8 receptions on him for 57 yards. So a pretty solid game. 4 stops in the run game. What I really enjoyed about Terrion Arnold is, man, he is a rapper. Like he literally, it's like grappling hooks coming together when he goes to tackle. It's super impressive with the way that he tackles. He definitely has the ability to do better, right? We know that. He has the ability to get better, and he will get better throughout the season. He played 10 snaps in the slot, 63 out wide on the corner, 3 down in the box, and had a pretty damn good game, man. Overall, yeah, there's a lot for him to clean up. His passer rating against was a 90. Again, those things are going to have, or 90.4. Those things are going to have to get cleaned up, and they will over time. I'm not so sure that he still has an issue with his that pec muscle. I mean, I didn't see it pop up in the way that he was tackling, but he got an 81.2 tackling grade, which is the second best tackling grade on the team next to Alex Anzalone for week 1. Kirby Joseph was in number 3 spot for tackling this weekend. Derek Barnes was in number 4. Malcolm Rodriguez was in the 5th spot. He only got in for 14 reps. Aiden, 74.3. He was in the 6th spot for tackling. Marcus Davenport was a 73.3. He was in the 7th spot, tied with Jalen Reeves-Maben. Levi O was in the 9th spot for tackling. So that was good to see. Our tackling was getting better. It was something that we really struggled with last year. Like I said, Aiden last year had like a 24% missed tackle rate for the entire season. That's really high. Really, really high. That number's got to be below 10%. To see Alex Anzalone's percentage be at 0 is huge. So Anzalone in 2021, I think he had about a 25-ish% missed tackle rate. And then in 2022, it like cut in half down to like 12. 2023, it kind of went back up. And now he's off on the right foot this week. In this season with a 0 goose egg missed tackling percentage. Those are the numbers that matter the most to me. Missed tackling percent, yak yards, those mean more to me, because if you have a ton of yak against you, like Carlton Davis did, that means that you are not even close to the receiver. You are not in the right position. As much as we thought that Carlton was going to be this lockdown corner, he sure had a bad game. Wasn't even close to what I'm hoping that he can be. And the fact that Ennis Rakestraw came in and the few reps that he had, 3 to be exact, played pretty well. He came up right away, bumped the guy off the line, dropped right into man coverage. And that was man coverage right in the red zone. So you want to talk about immediately getting thrown to the wolves, so to speak. He comes in the red zone and has to defend. Great job by Ennis is going to be Ennis the Menace, man. He is going to be our second best corner by next season. He could even be better than Terrion at some point.
Mm-hmm.
He really could be. But we'll leave that to them to figure out, right? It's so early in their career. I don't care who's better. I just hope that both of them end up being that other 1-2 punch, right? We got the Gibbs in the demo train. Now we need to get these corners locked in and locked down and have our 1-2 punch over there so that nobody can pass on us. I think the Lions are definitely going to need a better linebacker at some point. So your buddy, Coach B is spot on here that our coverage ability in the middle of this defense is still suspect. Hopefully those things will get figured out when DJ Reader's inserted this weekend.
So speaking of Tony, he put Super Bowl today on his Facebook page. And I told him now he's coming around to my way of thinking. Oh, God, that guy.
Yeah, so I've reached out to PFF DLR in the past. I mean, they're not going to answer my questions, man. They're not going to like my questions because I'm calling all of it into question, just like a lot of other people are. I use PFF to glean information from. I don't believe in a lot of their stats, and I've kind of said this over and over. You can't screw up some stats, right? How many times did you throw a ball? How many times was the ball caught? How many yards did you throw it for? How many yards did you run? How many attempts did you get? Those things you can't screw up. But when you have another set of 50 stats that are tracking all of these different metrics and key performance indicators, that's when the narratives start to come out. Matter of fact, did we talk about this before where, I don't know if it was with you or with Chef, that there was some stats that were created just to kind of drive a narrative where maybe it was painting, like the Lions players kind of in a bad light. Like they found this stat that could always make, these Lions players look bad compared to the rest. It's something that Chef had brought up. I'm going to have to ask him again what that was, but there was some stats that were just, they don't make any sense at all. They just don't. Be wary of some of these stats too. And I've brought this up before. You guys realize that the double teams, the triple teams, all that stuff is measured by AI. So they've got the chips in the ball, the helmet, the shoulder pads, and they're utilizing a lot of AI to register those stats. AI will never be able to tell us who's double teamed. And I don't have faith in some of these people that they know the difference between a double team and a chip and a combo block. And if they don't, then you're going to have things that are registered as double and triple teams when they're not. I watch tape. And when I watch tape, it'll tell you that, nope, that's not a double team. Just because Aiden engages with one defender or one, offensive tackle or whatever, and then a running back comes around the side or a tight end comes around the side and chips him, that is not a double team at all. A double team is when two players engage one player at the same time. Now that other player could release, right? He could release and go upfield to get to the second level, but that was still a double team to start the play. So does that second player release and then a tight end comes in and takes that spot and still stays engaged in a double team? Now you got a combo block. So, these are all questions that I guarantee you Coach DC would be able to answer. And I think he's even called into question a lot of these stats that you just have to be careful, right? That's why he does the tape as well and does a really good job at reviewing these things because the tape doesn't lie. Your eyes don't lie. But a stat sheet, man, it can really paint some pictures that aren't so pretty, if you will. What else are we not finishing today? So I know there are some things that we still have to get into, like...
Sure. There's a few things. Like the Lions are called cheaters.
Yep, that's the next one. So do you want to start with that one while I look up some stuff? Do you have the article up?
Here, I sent it to you so I can just look at it right from there. So last night I'm on the web and I'm looking at stuff and I come across this little article, right? And the headline is that the Detroit Lions are cheaters. And I'm like, well, what's this all about? So I go on and I read this. And it says, it's not often that Matt Stafford makes a terrible mistake, but he indeed committed one on Sunday Night Football. The Detroit Lions defensive back, Kirby Joseph, made him commit one when he plucked Los Angeles Rams quarterback Matt Stafford for a costly interception thrown in the end zone. Okay, so Kirby Joseph got himself a turnover, an interception, right? What's wrong with that? It turns out that Stafford may have been tricked into making such a mistake. An online conspiracy theory says that the Detroit Lions purposely painted their end zones the same color as their jerseys, making it hard for Matt Stafford to determine if the Lions were near his teammates. Well, that's the dumbest thing I'd ever heard on the internet. It's almost, I don't know, flat earth kind of stupid, because the Lions have had their end zones painted blue as long as I've been going to Lions games. Matt Stafford.
I don't know that they've always been painted blue. I think that was a Sunday night thing.
Was it? Okay. But anyway, we've had blue end zones from time to time. And somebody even posted back in 2016 when Matt Stafford was here, we had blue end zones. So he should have known he could do it. And listen, you'd have to be standing up and above. You'd have to be 20 foot tall for Kirby Joseph to blend into the end zone.
So I guess what I'm saying is that color blue, right?
Oh, okay. That color blue.
That color blue. So that was a new blue.
All right.
So if you look, I mean, if you go back and look at games in the past, it was maybe a grayer blue, like a lighter grayer blue. This was more of like a neon blue that kind of matches the new jerseys. So I mean, I get it. I just don't remember that. I don't remember the end zones always being that blue.
It didn't look any different to me. I didn't notice anything.
But I will say this. What a complete horse crap take. So we paint them blue to hide our player. I mean,
we lost.
Okay, so let me flip this on the head. How does that help Jared Goff then? Because how is Jared Goff going to see his own players in the end zone to throw a ball to throw a touchdown?
Yep.
So it hurts us on offense, but helps them on come on. Are we serious right now?
Yeah, come on.
Get real, people. This would not help Jared Goff at all to be able to throw a touchdown in the end zone. So I guess we're just not going to throw the ball into the end zone. Is that? My goodness.
Yeah, social media is giving out free tinfoil hats this morning.
Yeah, I can make you some too if you like. I got some tinfoil.
I told you I was going to bring you a tinfoil hat because you had all them conspiracy theories.
I did? What I have conspiracy theories on?
I don't remember. Something last week. I'll have to go back and look.
You have to watch the tape on that one. So yeah, when you look at like even the NFL rules, it talks about how you can paint the end zones and they just have to be team colors and blah, 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 blah. And I mean, it lays everything out in the official playing rules of the NFL Football League or the National Football League, where you can do whatever you want to do in your own end zones as long as it stays within the construct of the team colors and the NFL.
Yep.
The article that I read said Jersey boys, Detroit Lions accused of cheating with camouflage jerseys. Well, one, they weren't camouflage, they were blue, which caused stealth interception against the LA Rams. The article read that fans were left divided after the Detroit Lions camouflaged jerseys helped them produce a stealth interception against the Los Angeles Rams. Yeah. Kirby Joseph's uniform appeared to blend into the end zone. Well, I mean, doesn't blue on blue kind of blend. During the game, the Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford, formerly of the Lions, found himself caught out by their uniforms, with Detroit's Blues jerseys blending into the end zone and wall padding of the same color. Stafford did not see that his teammate was guarded. The 36-year-old's pass was easily intercepted by Kirby Joseph, who in his blue jersey seemed to spring from nowhere. Yeah. Come on, people.
So, listen, when he's out at the 20-yard line, throwing a ball into the end zone, if you go stand at the 20-yard line, the end zone's not going to look, it's not going to be up behind him. So how did he blend into the end zone? The wall behind him, maybe, but what's under his feet's not going to matter. So his feet were camouflaged. You know, Matt Stafford is not 15, 20 foot tall. He's not looking down at Kirby Joseph. He's not looking down at his receivers. He didn't jump way up in the air. So to me, this is total hogwash.
Yeah. So here's what I want to talk about real quick. Some observations of the game. I'm going to kind of mirror, what Tim Twentyman looked at too, but this defensive line, really disruptive on Sunday night. It could have been more disruptive, right? I think that what you saw here is the DBs did help the defensive front have a little bit more success, but they also got burned in their own right, allowing just too many plays over the middle of this defense. Guys that were just totally wide open. It made zero sense to me how open some of these players were for the Rams. Cooper Kupp, Colby Parkinson, who shouldn't be out there wide open like that. But the Lions think that their defensive line can be a catalyst for their defense, and they certainly brought the pressure on Sunday night, according to Tim Twentyman. The group finished with 2 sacks, but they hit Matthew Stafford 12 times. They had 12 tackles for loss, and LA finished with 3.6 yards per carry. So another strong output for the Detroit Lions defense, keeping the run game down to a minimum. They had a long play on the ground of just 12 yards. So very, very disruptive, allowed players to make plays behind them, which is exactly what we're looking for with a strong interior defensive line and, the exterior of this defensive line. Aiden Hutchinson did have a great game. Don't get me wrong, had a great game. There's just some things to clean up, and I just don't want the stats to confuse people. When we watch the tape tonight, we'll have a great conversation about it. Wait until DJ Reader gets inserted is what everyone cannot wait for. And you're going to see, fireworks just coming from this defensive line. Wide receiver depth, yes, to even, back up, the question earlier with the over-under. I do believe the Lions are still missing this X receiver. Is it going to be Patrick? Is it going to be Robinson? Who is it going to be? Is it going to be somebody else from another team? Are they going to pick up somebody? They have to do something, because we can't have another game where Amon-Ra St. Brown and Laporta just disappear. Cannot happen, because J-Mo, if something happens to him, we don't have anybody else. Should we be concerned that the Lions did not have another receiver doing anything outside of Jameson Williams and what little Amon-Ra St. Brown did? I think so. I think that this was a game that, dare I say that, and again, the tape will show us tonight, did the Rams find a blueprint for what we do? Because, this is pretty much a mirrored McVay offense. A lot of what we do, McVay does. And I don't think that, they're not copying what they've done. But I think that Ben Johnson, just like McVay, realizes that with these new defensive rules over the middle of the field, you can prey on defenses that run zone. And I still don't understand why we ran so much zone on Sunday night, because it really hurt us. Like we could have kept 100 yards off of this, out of these stats for the LA Rams had we run more man. There's a reason why we didn't. And it may be because it was first game jitters. Maybe Aaron Glenn did not want to put these guys into so much pressure, that early in the season. They're going to kind of ramp it up week by week. Battling back, obviously 2 years ago, Levi O Didn't know if his back injury that obviously required a fusion surgery would end his career. He missed his entire second season because of it. He played 64% of the defensive snaps on Sunday night, and he had a big game for his real first big game back, feeling healthy. Recorded a sack, 2 hits on Stafford, couple of tackles, very effective and efficient. And no, I don't understand the way that PFF ranks these things. Defensive pass interference penalties. Look, Terrian was making plays, absolutely making plays on Sunday night. Love the way he tackled, put himself in position to be in good position more often than not. The way he broke on the ball, I thought was perfect. I think that he's got a lot of things to clean up. And I don't believe, just like Dan Campbell said, that you want to remove the aggressiveness out of his game, right? I think that it's super important to allow him to continue doing what he's good at, which is playing aggressive. According to Tim 20man, he says the biggest takeaway from his performance is the moment was not too big for him. And he's going to continue to get better with more experience that he gets, and he'll be tested again next week as this offense with the Tampa Bay Bucs likes to take shots downfield. They have a really good wide receiver core, including Mike Evans. So it's going to be another big opportunity for Terry and Arnold. It'll be interesting to see how this Detroit Lions defense is going to take on such a big wide receiver in Mike Evans, because he's tough. He's a little older in his career, but we can't shy away from the fact that Mike Evans, when healthy, makes big plays. The end of this game should make you guys extremely excited about the rest of this season. What we witnessed in overtime was, if you want to call it the grit factor, whatever you want to call it, this was imposing your will against another team. They were pissed. They knew that they should have won this game. They dropped multiple opportunities with missing some interceptions. They were not able to get the passing game going. Play action pass was, I didn't see hardly any of it. They didn't play their game. They couldn't play their game for whatever reason. They still had some success in other areas, which was good to see. But this offensive line knew that they were having trouble throughout this game. And they did. They had some trouble. This is a very good defensive front that they went up against. Without Aaron Donald, they played us better than they did in that playoff game. My opinion, maybe it's shared, maybe it's not. I think the Rams defensive line was better in this game than they were in the first game. The fact that they come out in overtime and get the toss, right? Take the ball. And I've always said, they're going to play bully ball. They're going to take the ball and they're going to go home. And that's what the Lions did. They took this ball, they ran it down their throat, and they imposed their will on this young Rams defense. And you could tell that the switch just clicked. Panay, Decker, Bragnow, Zeitler, Glasgow, it clicked. And they said, enough's enough. We're taking the ball. We're going home. And let's go do it right now. And that's what they did. That was a huge moment for this team this weekend. Huge moment. Shows the character, shows the toughness. It shows that Dan Campbell lives in each one of these guys. There's another thing that I wanted to get to today. I don't know how much more time you have.
Mm-hmm.
Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
I can't remember which Barber brother it was, but I caught this podcast. It was Barber and somebody else, and they were talking about Dan Campbell, and they were saying that everything that you see out of Dan Campbell right now is why this team is doing the things that it's doing, because they are a spitting image of Dan Campbell. And they would say that his leadership was bar none the best leadership on the team when they played together. Even though the Dan Campbell was a second or third guy, second string guy, he was an afterthought, right? He wasn't a starter. That the way that he practiced, he was the hardest guy out there, or the hardest practicer on the team. The way that he went about his business, he went all in every play, every day, every practice. And everybody appreciated that about him. And his leadership showed up every single day, even though he wasn't a starter, even though he wasn't a captain. He led by the way that he did his work. And they're seeing the exact same thing right now. I'll find it. I'll share it tomorrow. I think you guys are really going to love this interview. It might be audio only because I don't want to have an issue with copyright, but you're really going to love what they had to say. And I think that when I heard this, I was like, man, that's exactly what we did in overtime. Exactly what we did in overtime. We showed up and we put, Dan Campbell Steelies on display and just went after it. Taking the ball, going home. So super shout out to Dan Campbell for having this team ready for the bigger moments. I think they learned something last year with that NFC Championship game to never let that happen again. That's what we needed to see on Sunday night. This was a tough game to get out of. This game is, they kept saying the same old Lions, they lose that game. The brand new Lions, now you're seeing it. Yep. You're seeing us win these really hard, gritty, tough, grind them out kind of games. This was a great way to open the season. So I'm excited, man. I'm really excited. Take it away, Eric. What do you want to say?
Do you think that Brad Holmes at the start of overtime turned around and looked at Ben Johnson and said, quit effing around, run the ball?
Yeah, I hope so.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No more play action, no more tossing it, whatever. Our guys are covered. Just run the effing ball, put Monty in, let's go.
Yeah. And the fact that they, kind of saved Monty a little bit, it almost felt like Monty was taken out of the game a little bit because they inserted Gibbs for, large majority of this game. I felt like he kind of got off to a slow start.
But I think what they were trying to do with Gibbs is they were trying to hit the home run ball.
Yeah.
They were trying to hit that electric 80-yard play that would spark them and get them the lead. And I think that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to do the same thing with JMO, and they tried to do the underneath stuff with Amon-Ra, but it just wasn't there this week. And that's where he excels, So they were, I think with the running game, they were really, really trying to hit the home run ball. They wanted to get Gibbs going. Instead of waiting till week 4, week 5, like they did last year, they wanted to do it in week 1. Because they know they have this secret weapon in Gibbs that can go off. So I got one more thing for today.
Okay.
If we got a minute.
Yep.
So this is a little snippet from the internet. I watched this interview with Matt Stafford after the game, and he was not in a good mood, and he was awful cranky. Okay. Stafford, who spent his first 12 seasons in the NFL with the Detroit Lions, was asked after the loss if he was over hearing the Jared Goff chants from fans at Ford Field. And he said, yeah, I am. And he said it so cocky, and you could tell he's over it. He's done. He's heard enough of it. He never got those chants. Not when any time I was ever at a game. The fans never got behind him like that. And the fact that Detroit has, you can go to grocery stores, any sporting game, before the game, after the game, during the game, halftime, preseason, everything. Jared Goff chants are everywhere, dude. And whether Jared Goff's a better quarterback or not, I don't care. We're behind our guy. Like somebody was saying earlier in the chat that Jared Goff's just a Joe Schmo. He's just an average quarterback. I don't care. As long as we're winning games, I don't care. And all of the fans in Detroit are totally behind Goff. So am I. There's a reason I have more Jared Goff jerseys than any other jersey. He's my little guy story, my comeback player of the century. He's my guy. I love him. I love Jared Goff. I love his story. I like his comeback. He's grit. He fits Detroit. He's everything I want in a quarterback.
Yeah. You know what I really loved about Jared Goff this weekend? He let everybody see those broken giraffe legs run, man. What a gutty, gritty play.
Yeah.
Getting that first down. He went down kind of hard. And I thought, man, the fact that he just pops right up, nothing phases this guy.
Live, I didn't see how he got tackled. Did he fall on his own, or did he? Because I didn't realize he still had the ball. I thought it was somebody on the other side of the field, so I was looking at the other side, and they never showed a replay.
Yeah, the replays suck inside Ford Field.
I hate them. They never show what you want to see, because if you're looking at the field live, depending on where you're sitting, you may or may not have a vantage point where you can see what exactly is going on in the play. I thought somebody because I think he did the whole fake the throw and then he took off running, and I thought somebody else had the ball. I thought he threw the ball on that play. I didn't exactly see how he was tackled.
Yes, without referring to the video or the tape, I will say that if I was right there, 39-yard line, and it looked like he just progressed up through the pocket, and then the pocket started to collapse behind him, and he felt it, and he took off. And I don't remember if he got tripped up or if he kind of just went down awkwardly, but he landed kind of hard. Okay. Same thing like with Jamo. When Jamo, had that long touchdown, he went to leap. Instead of just going to the right, all he had to do was just go to the right, and he probably would have avoided the tackle. But then Jamo came down hard on his knees. There was a couple of plays in this game that just made me cringe. The way that these players, they got to learn to get down the right way, and avoid, major contact like that. But Jared, he's just not a running quarterback, but you know what? We needed a first down, and he went and got it, and he put himself out there, for us. And I always call him the awkward, running giraffe, and that's just to be funny. I'm not trying to be mean to the guy. He runs. He's clunky. He's big. He's tall. He's lanky. He's not a speed guy, but he's not afraid, man. He'll get out there and do what he has to do to help this team win, put this team on his back. Tape tonight's going to be fun because we're going to see a lot of things that are going to open up our eyes. We're going to see a lot of mistakes, and it'll be interesting to see how we clean these things up, so bring your pen and paper tonight. Let's make some notes. And we'll kind of watch it. There's a couple other things we didn't get to today. We didn't get to Dan Gamble's of the game.
Okay.
How many fourth downs did we go? We didn't go for any fourth downs.
One time.
Let me see here.
We did.
The ones that we should have went for. So early in the game, we kicked the field goal, right?
Yep.
And it was the second quarter, I believe.
Yep.
Let me get to that real quick. So
we did do one because it was right down in front of me.
Yeah. So that would have been early in the second quarter. It was a 16-play drive. And the Lions get all the way down to 7-yard line. We had an incomplete pass to Sam Laporta, and it's now 4th and 7 at the Rams 7. Does anybody believe, for Dan Gamble's of the game here, does anybody believe that we should have went for this or taking the points was the right move? Eric, I'll start with you, and then we'll see what they say in the chat.
4th and 7? Yeah, kick the field goal, take the points. That's what we learned from the San Francisco game. You gotta take the points sometimes, and I'm glad he did a couple of times. I'm glad he let Jake Bates kick 2 field goals.
So I was actually kind of surprised here because prior to this, it was 3-0.
Yep,
it was either 3-0 or 7-3. I think it was 3-0.
Yeah, it was 3-0.
Yeah, because LA got their field goal, and then it was the second quarter. Yeah, we scored a touchdown after that. So yes, 3-0. So I was a little surprised that he didn't go for it, because the fact that the game was that close, maybe what Dan Campbell felt was, okay, the way this game is trending, it's going to be a tight game, and without that field goal, I mean, if all things stood equal, we don't get a shot at OT. We would have had to have scored a touchdown at the end of the game. regulation. So for Dan Gambles of the game, he didn't gamble on the first opportunity where we were in scoring, position deep into the red zone. Had an opportunity to get a first down. Dan, the gamble man, takes the points, kicks the field goal. And here's where I cringed a little bit, because if you remember, Jake Bates has struggled for extra points and short field goals. Struggled. And this guy just, ice in his veins. He knocked them all through. Dead nuts in the middle. So great work by Jake Bates. He's 100% on the season to start the season. So we're going to be tracking, booms or busts of the week. And one of those is Jake Bates. So was Jake Bates a boom or bust of the week? Oh, shoot. Wrong one.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
Yeah, I am sure that was the wrong one. That was the wrong one. I think I switched I must have switched them. Here we go. Did Jake Bates sleep at a Holiday Inn the night before? And I would say that he did. He had his rest. Jake Bates came to play. Now, he didn't have to kick any super long field goals in this game, but the pressure was on. This is a huge matchup. It's a previous playoff matchup from the week before, or from the season before. You've got bragging rights on the line. You've got end of season implications for a playoff run on the line. And Jake Bates not only made his extra points, but he made every field goal that was asked of him. So he definitely got his rest at a Holiday Inn from the night before. And no, Holiday Inn is not a sponsor of this show. Probably never will be.
Oh, man.
What else did we have for today? So Dan Gambles of the game. That's kind of what we were talking about. So he didn't go for this one. Where was the fourth down? Was that in the second half? Do you remember where that one was?
It was right in front of me.
Well, that's great. But do you remember where it was in the game?
I don't. Dude, my brain is fried this morning. Between no sleep and a rough day yesterday, I'm having brain freeze.
Okay. So if I remember correctly here, let me just
4th and 2 or 4th and 3?
It had to be. I think we ended up punting the ball after this, though. No, maybe not.
A couple times we punted when I was very surprised that we punted.
Yeah, so I'll have to write them down for next week, because those are going to be the questionable, did we go for it? Should we have gone for it? Does it make sense that we didn't go for it? Or whatever, right?
Yep.
So the Dan Gambles of the game are going to be tracking how many 4th and goes we went, and then how many 4th and oh no's happened because we did go for it and we didn't quite make it. I don't see the 4th down in here.
No? Yeah, the place erupted when we went for it on 4th down.
I don't remember that either. Does anybody in the stats room or in the chat remember where this was? Because I'm trying to find it here. I just don't see it.
Let's see if I can find it on here.
Well, we'll just have to do a better job of it next week. This is what sucks when you're on the road and it's a Sunday night game. Us being on the road. These are going to be gold, kind of little gold nuggets of the week during this show. So 4th down attempts is what I'm looking for. And I can't even find the extended stats right now for some reason. Where Al Tarantino says it was a 4th and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Team stats, 4th downs. It doesn't even show on ESPN. It says, all right, here we go. 4th down efficiency. So we were 1 for 1.
Mm-hmm.
but I just don't know where it was in the game or where we were on the field. Either way, we only went for one. So I found that interesting. Maybe we just weren't in enough, good positions, obviously, to go for more. I mean, I think that Dan called a really good game. Yep. My last point that I'll make, and then we'll sign off, is Dan Campbell really did call a great game when it came to time management. If you guys remember back to the NFC Championship game.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Dan Campbell said that one of the things that he learned, that he had to get better with was some time management. And this was a big opportunity for him to show us, what's changed. And I honestly don't feel like he's called, bad games per se, but there was a couple of games where maybe you're holding on to timeouts that you're not using. You're holding on to the challenge flag that you're not using. And I feel like some of those things, like, look, it doesn't help you to hold these things, like all of your money when you pass it. It's not like you're going to take it with you. So either you're passing it to somebody, go spend it, go do something. Same thing with this, like, use the timeouts, use them. There's no reason not to use them unless you're strategically trying not to give the other team any time. For me, if you're driving, right, and there's 30 seconds left and you got a first down, take a timeout. Like, it's okay. Get your guys a breather. Take a timeout. Yeah, it gives the other side some time too. And maybe that's part of it. Do you feel more confident that your guys are in shape, right? And that they can handle it and they can keep going and do hurry up offense and hurry up and, get down the field. Because there was a chance there, I think, in one series that it's probably towards the end of the game. Matter of fact, it might have been our last series to tie it up, that had he called a timeout, that maybe we would have had another shot at the end zone with more time. And they would have run different plays. But use the timeouts, right? But I think that this was a very, 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 very good game for Dan Campbell. The way he got us into position, reserved our timeouts, called a perfect game, in my opinion, did a great job. I mean, he got us into the right play at the right time. And he got us into the overtime to where obviously we felt that we had a leg up running the ball. And they did just that. So kind of all over the place today. We'll bring a better roster tomorrow. Still exhausted from this whole weekend, man. And shout out to Megan Stefanski and the great work that they did with their tailgate this weekend. They raised over $800. The Green Bay game, we will be going up north to Uperman's restaurant in the UP and doing the show. I think that Friday or Saturday before, probably the Saturday before, we're going to be doing a show up there and trying to help their, the Eastern UP hospice program. And so we'll be live up there for the Green Bay game and then head over to the Green Bay game and have a good time there. So super fun to see everybody. Lions fans are ready. It was a great atmosphere again and again and again. It's going to be a great season. We're on our way. We're 1-0. No more Sundays without football. I'm super excited about it. Eric, final words?
Yeah, let's rock and roll. Let's get to 2-0. Bring on the Bucks.
All right. So Jared Goff's Bulge is the winner of the first week of the Rocked On Cancer Foundation raffle. The Chris Spielman helmet is up. Of course, the Eric Hipple signed certificate of authenticity seat back is up. And I'm going to get this Miller Lite light up as well. And this is about a $400, $500, $600 light, somewhere in that range. It's definitely a rare one, so you're going to want to get your raffle tickets in for this one, and it'll go for a few weeks because it's going to be a big one. You guys have a great day. Appreciate you guys joining us as always. Did we get to 100 likes today?
I think we were a little shy. We didn't have.
Smash that like button on your way out. Do us a favor. Let's keep this rolling. And another super shout out to all the members of the channel. Can't wait to see you guys tonight. Check the members only section in the live section on the YouTube channel. And it's scheduled for 7 p.m. tonight to do the all 22. And like I said, maybe next week or the week after, as soon as I can get it figured out, we'll try to go to a Zoom style of a meeting so that we can interact inside the video. But Tonight we'll do it through YouTube. You guys take care. Go One Pride, go Detroit Lions. We'll see you in the morning.
Adam Schefter at ESPN says there's 275,000 people.
Well, that was some party in downtown Detroit. 775,000 people, shattering the NFL draft attendance record.
This is the future. Evolution. This is the future. Evolution.